mean, it's very intense. Was that like already there and preset? It's at Universal? Like, where was that filmed?
No, that was long after Universal. I mean, they had already saw his cut and decided they wanted to see more, so they paid for more, and that was another like month of shooting.
Okay.
So I got involved at that point.
Okay.
Knowing Wayne Toth, his makeup artist, once they came up with the character, there's a couple of us that had worn suits for a bunch of those guys back then, and Jay McKinnon, who played the professor. And we're both effects guys and been around forever wearing suits, so Wayne right away is like, yeah, you know, Walter's perfect. And I came in for 3 days and got into makeup 2 days and shot one of those days for 4 hours maybe on the set. And that was it, yeah.
You know, it's small, but it's very memorable.
Yes, yeah.
What there was that question just. All right, so obviously you don't get too claustrophobic having all of that on all the time. Something I can do. I know Doug Jones is great at doing stuff like that. Do you prefer stuff?
Yeah, plus, I mean, I have like, if you put me in a small box or wrapped in a blanket, I'd freak out. But it's different wearing makeup. It's just, the most claustrophobic thing you do is leave your life mask when you're completely covered in algae and plaster. Yeah. But that's actually a very nice, pleasant experience for me. So always found it very zen, kind of mellow experience.
As long as you can trust the people that are doing it.
Yeah.
That's what I found.
Well, I tried trusting them, but now most of those guys, throughout the years of wearing suits, were friends of mine who I worked with in different shops. So I was always treated a little bit different than some of them they didn't know. So, a little more rough than a lot of people were treated.
All right. How about anybody else? Anybody have any questions out there?
Yes, over there.
What? Yeah, come on up. Or yell it.
Yeah. I'll reserve the vote.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Hey, I love it.
I can ask you to make sure it feels like you're Oh, thank you. It's even better.
Yeah.
So, I was a fan of the film and I followed it from since it was announced in like the late 90s, around 2000, and then the journey it took to finally get released in theaters. I was actually at San Diego Comic-Con in 2002 and speaking with, I think Universal had the rights to it at the time, at that point. And they said, yeah, we all watched it, we love it. We don't know when it's going to come out, but they were even saying it was great, the people I spoke to. So being someone on the inside of it, what was your perspective and your memories of the path until, from when it was completed to when it was finally released? And did you have any insight hearing from anyone else on it, what that ordeal was like?
Sure. Well, when I came in, the whole thing had been shot at Universal, so I didn't know any of the cast, except for Jennifer, who played the girl there, and my friend Jake, who's a guy I've worked with many times. So, basically the day after we shot, Wayne Toth, his makeup artist, excuse me, called me up and said, oh, everything is out of focus. They can't use any of the footage, it's just all fucked. And I was like, all right, whatever. It was cool looking, too bad. I had no idea what any of the movie, I'd never had a script or anything like that. I did get pages just for like that little scene, you know, with a couple of lines that we did different a couple of times. And so from my perspective, the day after, it was just never going to be seen. And it was just one of those things. And then later I found out, of course, that he was dropped by Universal. Once they even saw that, they said, we hate this movie, we're never put it out. And after that, I keep getting calls from Wayne. We went to Rob's house, he lived in LA at the time. And a couple, 3 times we went to his house on a weekend and we'd shoot just stuff. So Tiny burning in the bed, Albert Fish, I did the Albert Fish stuff at his house, and just his living room table. And Mosley did the Ed Gein stuff, got to makeup at Rob's house. So that was some of the most fun I ever had. So it was kind of like, okay, well I guess this movie will come out eventually. Then he's on tour again already, and he was making videos for other people, so I got a job on, he called me for, it was a Zach Wild video, which Rob was directing. And he was still shooting stuff for House. He had Sid there at the shoot of the video for Zach Wild. And they had Captain Spaulding puppet, like on a leash. a chattering jaw, and they got him in the Spalding makeup, and I remember Sid with Wayne talking about, it wasn't like that, you know, lines were like this, and everything like that. And then just shot him when they were on lunch, just this big teeth chattering away with this puppet thing. I'm like, is that going to be in this video? That doesn't make any sense. No. Never seen that. I don't think Rob's ever shown that either, so that's something that I've always looked for, you know. So no, I thought the movie would never come out. The movie kept doing that, and then ended up going, Rob would call me for other videos in his own. I did like 3 of those with it, and then we did Words to Say long after that. But yeah, I thought the house wasn't going to come out. Then when it finally did, you know, I paid to go see it. I don't remember any premiere. I wasn't at home, that's for sure. And it was really cool because I remember the ad in the LA Times in LA, pretty small ad part at first. And then by like the 3rd week, it was like a full-page fucking ad. So this thing was like just on this momentum path. It was really cool to watch. And it has legs because it was 22 years later and we're still watching it. So, yeah. Maybe that's true. That's not.
Anybody else in the opinion? How about you?
I was going to ask if there was anything from like your life or if it's just your nature to be able to handle that claustrophobia, but I feel like you already answered that. So instead I'll just ask, what was the most intense prosthetic makeup you ever had to deal with in your career?
Yeah, Dr. Singh wasn't too bad. I mean, it was a mask and, you know, besides my mouth and nose being covered, even in the second makeup we did for Devil's Rejects, it still was. And I just think you're putting a gas mask over it every time. I do carrot sticks and shakes all day, you know. But Team and I was probably the hardest thing I ever did. That included stilts and small prosthetics on our bodies and animatronic heads, which came off and on, which at least that was nice, but long and finger extensions, stilts, a lot of body paint, which at the time was just like glue mixed with acrylic paint, you know, Pax paint they called it. So that stuff was really hard to wash off. So that was pretty hard. That was really tough. Other than that, most of those suits are either like a rubber suit and your feet are, so it's kind of a sponge rubber little pajama suit. Really isn't that bad at all. Contacts, that's a different thing, you know. That gets annoying because they go in and out all day. And by the end of 16 hours, your eyes are done. Yeah.
How about anybody else? Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, have there ever been any talks of full features, Dr. Singh backstory?
Just by fans, that's all I ever see. Yeah. With Rob, you know, I doubt it. I mean, he kind of did the 3rd one, just, you know, I think by pressure, just to finish off that and be, okay, I'm now done with this, you know. Because if you look at his changes from House to Devils to that, I mean, the people they're different people. And there's missing people, and it's not really a sequel as far as, you know. And to me, Devils is like kind of a retelling by someone else, you know. Like another author doing a Spider-Man book, you know what I mean? Coming up with his own background and lore. So I doubt it. It'd be cool. I mean, I know fans want that for sure. And he's done a little backstory on it. He had a comic book for a while and had short stories, mostly of the Firefly family. And one was a return of Dr. Satan, and it went through the whole villagers killing him and disappearing and coming back and killing all of them. So it had like that whole origin story already done. So he's thought of it at least before. But who knows? I doubt it.
Would you consider doing a fan film?
Oh yeah, to get the rights to Rob, sure, why not? Of course. Yeah, that'd be awesome. No, you don't even think about it, I mean, you know. Yeah, because he obviously from Nazi Germany, obviously is, you know, you could go all over the place with that.
Right. Absolutely.
Right over there. Have you ever dressed up as a character for Ron?
That's right.
Have you ever dressed up as a character for Ron or Halloween or anything?
No, not really. Photo ops and things like that, I've had full makeup done before. No. My neighborhood is very boring for Halloween. There's no kitties anywhere.
Yes, over there.
Is there anything you tell us about an alternate version
No, I don't think that there are. I mean, there was his original cut, which I have no idea how that ended. Like the original cut that he gave Universal, and then they said, here, we'll pay for more. I have no idea.
A lot of extra stuff, and that's like more dialogue and everything else, so.
Yeah, I would say no. I mean, originally, when the DVDs were coming out, Dr. Ruby's like, well, there's nothing, there's no extra footage, whatever there was burned up in Universal in the fire, and he'd always say, like, I'm gonna picture nothing, you know. Now, through the years, there's a lot of stuff's come out. Like he posts a lot of stuff, which I guess is gonna be in the forthcoming book, which is pretty fat, so I'm looking forward to that. And that's all on how they started, because it all starts very weird for him. Like, he's at Universal just kind of hanging around because he likes the studio. And there's a young exec who's like, hey, your music and videos are cool. You ever make a movie? He's like, sure, I'd love to. It kind of happens that way. The guy's like, well, you got any ideas? He's like, sure. You know, and he's just winging it. He already has that title he said in his mind, but then he just like riffs on it, and somehow they give him tons of money to make that movie. At Universal. I wish I'd been part of that. That sounded fun. Is there any lobster? They've all got trailers, and you know, most of the time we're hanging out in cars, and you know, really cheap trailers, some ladies, or freezing, or dying of the heat, or you know. Yeah, not Universal Studios, a tram coming through, you know. See, maybe the book will tell more, because I know he's released a lot of pictures of like stuff he did really early with Sid, where they just like hung a curtain up and painted it, you know, like really cheesy kind of stuff. So, yeah, but I don't think so. Another version.
Are there any other questions? Anything else? Did you have any favorite experiences? Anything of this anything you've done that really?
Well, I really enjoyed making this movie. Like I said, mostly after the fact with Rob, and getting to know him, and having him hire me for his videos and other films and whatever. So, yes, otherwise you're thrown into the cornfield of Twilight Zone, which there's many people thrown in there. And you can kind of see through watching these archivist films and everything, who's no longer around and who's the new favorite and stuff like that. So it's interesting. I've never done that, anything that intense with Rob as far as filming, something like what Bill has to go through or something. So, you know, it's always been a very kind of light thing. And he also, we're both musicians, and he knew that. And kind of knew a little bit about my punk rock days and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, it was always kind of a real friendly time. You never haven't heard from him in years, but you never know.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Walter. I'm a big fan of your character of Braxis. Any stories you can share some of the stuff?
No, it was all pretty matter of fact. It was fun. I had a lot of dialogue in it. I had to read the spells backwards, and had to float on this little journey thing. Pretty extensive makeup, all Legend, Tim Curry sort of with the giant horns and everything, and big ears. And it was mostly me, and there was one other character who I did one scene with, a guy who had been in previous episodes. I don't remember his name. And then I did one scene with Shannon up in the hills in Griffith Park, and stood on a ladder, and all I did was raise a hand, and I like pulled her strap of her top, and she's the only one I got to sort of meet. But no, it was very matter of fact. It was really fun, and a really cool episode, I thought. Yeah. All right.
go back over there signing and
Yeah.
taking pictures?
We'll do some pictures at midnight, I think, after Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
So, thanks you guys. Enjoy it.
Thank you.
All right, stick around, we still have a few more minutes and we'll start up the next one at 10 o'clock here.
I mean, you know what, that's funny, and I'll play along with when I was, it just made me think about, yeah, it's very true, and I work very hard for it, but I can't watch this movie and not just be blown away by the great late Marley.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. That was going to be my
My wife
question.
gets started, he talks about now that watch that movie, and he pushed me. We pushed each other because I'm a real deal tough guy. He's true grit, real spit, rather than pregnant. Male call. That's funny. He's too real. He's badass as anybody could ever be. He get a kick out of me. I love watching him. Because I inspired him. Because I wasn't a pussy to a level he really. He got it, because he's used to seeing legions of guys work, and he can tell he knows hard work. Hard work pays off. That's the story of his life. That's quite a fun compliment to me. Personally, I'm impressed, but I was touched, because you can't be letting anybody steal every scene. If it was going to be that easy, you would have just, you could have stole that movie if I didn't really try and lock my patch.
You can definitely see the returns of that. He's all
He was
there.
wonderful. I couldn't have had better accompaniment to creatively be inspired by, driven to perform with a smile. And perform at that level, but then smile and you're exhausted, but you got it done in front of somebody. He was like an audience for me before the audience. That really,
Hey, here. Sorry.
God rest his soul, and God bless his legend. And watch some of this stuff anytime, and you want to be impressed. So, thanks for letting me rant about Our Lady. There's nothing better to rant about on a time like this right now. I love everything he's in there. He made a lot of that stuff up. And producers would just be staring on the monitor. I'd be right there next to him. It's just like, he just went off script and all that stuff, all that crazy psychosexual fucking low-key maniac. Like, talk about psychological complexity and dark humor. He said, God will provide for those who provide for themselves. Who does God favor more? And the web, the spider can fly. And he says, he get bugging. And I'm going to be the one to see if my family is eating. And it's like, they were being starved out, and abused and bullied and preyed upon in ways that, like leeches and parasites and predators, and they were trying to destroy this family and see it perish and inherit the remains. And he wasn't going anywhere, it wasn't happening. But all the cattle died. That was it. The meat plant closed down. Everybody packed up and left and sold. That's what they wanted to know. So they weren't going to do it, and they found a way. And the fact of how crazy it is with Tommy too. Like, he's not a friendly guy. But I look at it like a dog who's someone abused, being abused, and kicked, and it's risen and broken so many times. It's so you just see the look of he's condemned himself to his fate, and he doesn't have the strength to fight it anymore, and he can barely make a sound. You know, and it's like that. It's so disgusting and horrible that everybody watches that. You immediately vote for the dog. Like you forgive the dog for anything that happens next, because you know, the dog's gonna have to get strong. If it's gonna survive, it's gonna have to act now, or they're gonna laugh as they take its life. And you know, it's kill or be killed. You know, it's like everybody just screams for that dog. Just time it out and just snap and rip his neck out. You'll be safe, and you can start to heal. I mean, like, whoa, like, that's how I see the fact that people love. I'm an artist, you know, so it's a great compliment. It's really weird thing that it comes and reads that way, because here I am, the most sadistic, brutal, cannibalistic, mass murdering serial killer with a level of violence and brutality that nobody's ever seen. And it's like I was worried when I saw it, how people were gonna, and what kind of backlash I was gonna face. You know, like, yeah, you know, but we'd never see it coming the way, you know, as you come to know it is, and what I'm sharing with you is, you know, they just, everybody votes. The producers had no idea. You know, Leatherface was a monster, you know, more than a human being. And you know, they don't know. Like they'd be surprised to hear this, or maybe they saw it along the way, but they would tell me Leatherface is not the star of this movie. He's not the primary character. He's a monstrous antagonist, the star of the movie, or the character. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's why.
If it helps you sleep at night, and get these kids on board, then tell them that. As far as I'm going to be concerned, be playing Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Well, that's the funny thing. You know, that's the gimmick, that's the gig. You know, you want to see the kids die, because we're seeing how cool it is, but like a wounded dog has been abused. I think people have that much empathy. Like, you know, these new generation of young fans from all over the world, you know, like saying that, you know, Tommy, they're in love with Tommy, and he kept them from committing suicide and blah, blah. It's like, well, you know, thank God, you know, for letting me work in mysterious ways, because I would never think that, you know, like these too young that is even more retarded, you know, but these, you know, girls my daughter's age, and she goes to school with her, oh, your dad's Leatherface, blah, 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 you know. It's, they think Leatherface is just simple, they do like drawings, all these different fan art, like big cartoons like AI would do, before AI, these people, it's crazy talented thing, you know. This girls from every country in the world never had. They had some college and universities call me and tell me that they're part of their curriculum for the, you know, like studying my work, you know. And my daughter called me from University of Houston one time and said, talking about you in class right now. And she's mad at me because she's saying this about, you know, serial killers. She's like, no, that's not. She's like, this is my dad's Leatherface. They're talking about, you know, like Leatherface, and that's like, you know, like this girl, like she's like, what do I do? I'm like, weed, whatever. But it's been a weird ride, but I put all that hard passion into my. I work harder than, you know, 10,000 women to survive. I fight for the film, and so that you know it can kick as much ass as it could possibly. I want to be right there in collaboration, since it really depends on me. If I suck, you guys are fine. You know, and I don't suck. That's the good news. You know, just try to hit whatever you switch and throw, pitch it over the plate and in the bed. You know, out of the park, and that's how I operate. And blessed to have a career, with such creative license, inspiration. So I really appreciate that. And you can see kind of the Leatherface and become a hero and a beast and a sex symbol, a role model. Whatever. This guy's funny as hell, man. It is. Oh, man. But, yeah, so, appreciate you all. And any questions anybody has about this song?
What's the,
Hi, fabulous to see this tonight. Thank you so much for being here.
Well,
My question is, between the time when you found out you were going to be Leatherface and taking on such a beloved role, and then while shooting it, is there any challenges while filming that were unexpected, or anything that might have been easier than you anticipated?
No, I'm asked to do physically inhuman impossible shit all the time. And usually I'm given about 5 minutes to do it. Before we lose the light and, or it's not in the movie, we're edit some other way. We're not having days, Adam Brewster had to have her hairbrush in between takes for 40 minutes at a time. Just like, so. But you know what? I drive like that because I don't suffer. I won't give up. And I push. I played football, the martial arts, bodybuilding my whole life. You push the pain, drive it, it's therapy, it makes you strong. I could take a lot more than most people, if you ever played football at any level, football camp is brutal, especially if you're heavy now. I did wrestle because they had to run a mile or 5 miles to warm up every day. I'm doing football practice. I got shoes once I'm doing, wind sprints. And, but it's worth the pain. If you have that kind of passion for it and you're inspired, you gotta let it go. You gotta let it fly. I just have an eye, even a bad ache, not so much now. Very high level athletic ability to train with elite, world-class athletes. Like every sport that had an off-season, best guys would go train in the gym. I'm training all these guys. So I had a lot in the tank, and I never leave anything in the tank. We'll push until, my temperature goes to 102, and then we're taking a break, I'll fall down as soon as we get the last shot. Until then, I'm not dropping. You get the job to do is, and the adrenaline from doing the physical stuff like that, and pushing so hard, so many hours, so many days in crazy conditions, wearing masks with smoke from a chainsaw fume, going inside this mask at 118 degrees in the shade, running with dive marks through the cornfield, stalks sticking up every 2 feet, gopher holes and barbed wire. Don't worry if anybody gets hurt with a chainsaw, with me pulling around and cut my femoral artery, bleeding out before anybody can hear with me anyway. It's all fun till you kill yourself, and they'll kill you if you let them.
was that all shot in Texas or where was that filmed?
Yeah, it was 100% shot, Travis County mostly. Basically, you set up a production office in Hustle, and the union says that to get certain assistance and tax favorable, so that you can make a movie for less money than, people with a lot of money get charged.
Yeah.
You gotta do it, the rule is 30 miles, the hotel has to be, nothing, no location, when you're on location, can be more than a 30-mile radius from the production office. And, they have to take care of it. You're pretty well treated, It's nice to have a little bit of time to breathe when you're not taking oxygen, you're taking your temperature. I had to take the mask off and I had steam coming off my head in a volcano. And one day I was saying, drank 72 bottles of water one day and didn't pee.
Oh.
While I'm 70% max time. So 85% maybe. For 15 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Was there any more questions or anything about?
How do you audition for such a role? Audition.
In this case, my ex-wife had a florist business, and Michael Bay was one of her clients. She was a big Hollywood florist. Had all the biggest, names in Hollywood. She was their florist. She dropped off flowers to the house, flowers to the office. It was very good. So I knew Michael Bay already from Pearl Harbor, which he directed, and I was on vacation in Mexico with Rosarito. We filmed the water scenes in infinity pools, basically, but they were 10 million gallon infinity pools right on the coast of Baja, Rosarito, Mexico. They have a Fox Baja. They have a studio there, and so it was crazy stuff. But it was amazing. We filmed on the battleships in Pearl Harbor, the Missouri, which made it back after escaping to sea. Made it back, and it's they let us film on it, and it stood in for the Arizona, and then we it was just crazy the amount of skilled people and the gimmicks, to do it at that level. I almost drowned on that one, for real. But it was amazing. We're laying Navy SEALs in the water in the tank with me, and it was hiding on the bottom in the oil, laying on their back, just watching, and it couldn't react to the time of what happened to me, right? I literally almost lost consciousness and drowned after pushing off underwater in the scene that ended up, instead of the air pocket, I waited till I had almost no air, and I could feel it real quick, being, blackout, and here it comes, and I'm pushed off with everything I had for the air pocket. And there's no air pocket. I hit my head on a steel beam, full force, ignorant to that it can never happen, never. But they changed the count. I let them shoot the rehearsal because I'm a sport, and I figured, let's see what it looks like and go from there. But I think we can, who knows? Might be great, and at least it's worth doing. So I let them shoot the rehearsal, and I worked out the count that I needed. And basically, I don't know, I'm going to ramble, but it's a story for another day. So anyway, I would go to Michael Bay's Christmas parties every year with my ex-wife after that, and a couple of years, 5 years almost, maybe 4 years had gone by. And, I'd hear about Michael, and, see Michael every now and we were on good terms. So, I was driving in Los Angeles one night with the ex-wife, and she said, Michael Bay got the rights to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I was like, yeah, I read that, that's pretty cool, I got it. And she's like, you should hit him up and tell him that you want to be in it. Do it right now. And I'm like, I could do that. So, I was like, what would I tell him while I'm doing that? Yeah, literally. And it just didn't hit me. And she's like, the fucking killer, with the mask, people's faces and the chainsaw. And she's like, and I'm like, that's the role. And I'm like, I'll tell you what, I will chase you to your death and beat you with a wet piece of spaghetti and kill you. And, that's not the way to go. I was like, if you give me a chainsaw and take all bets are off, rentals, like, find a reason where, you know, all the best villains never think they're the bad guy. It's just, you know, God forbid you ever have to walk a mile with emotions, like everyone else, but, and I was like, well, I'll tell you what, if it was me and I was wearing a mask for your friends' faces stitched together, and I'm coming at you and I don't want to talk, I don't want to negotiate, right? You know, I'm coming in like an apex predator, locked in on you before you know it's coming, and it's going to be brutal as AF, you know, because this is not a love story, it's not a comedy. If I was that guy, you know, which I can flesh out, I can put the work in, and I can bring it to life from the concept or from the page or from the annals. I was like, I'll tell you what, of all the people I can even imagine, if that's me, and that's what's really up. And it's like that. Oh, okay, so I'll fight to protect my family or to survive. And, you know, I'm a survivor of trauma and, you know, all kinds of, you know, injurious abuses when I was younger. And I can relate, you know, and yeah, it was, I'm not the one, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not the one you want to do that, but if you want it to really be insane and intense, and I mean, it'd be unbeatable. And I told Michael, I said, look, man, I was born to wear the mask. I called him up, and I told him what I just said to you, and it blew him away, and he was quoted on that. And, you know, that's pretty much, then they brought me down to Texas, and we were negotiating, and Mike wanted a scumbag lawyer, and he tried to change the deal, because he's a fucking monkey, and he didn't want to pay, and he wanted to change my deal, get a deal memo, and I didn't know if I wanted to sue him or continue. You know, I'm not a suit guy, I'm in this for more than the money, but I wasn't going to be screwed the way they were going to tell me. They're like, take it. And they told me you can take it, or you get on a plane and go home. And I wasn't going to be talked to like that. And that's when I got a call the next day, and my agent said, I said, did we close it, you know, or they want to text me, you know, because I'm not the one either. They want to screw me, and don't piss down my neck and tell me it's raining. And they said we decided to go another way, and I went, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, that's what they said. Then I'm in Texas here, you know, and I was like, okay, really? And I tried to keep my cool, and then they told me they hired Brett Wagner. And so I went Brett, and, you know, it is what it is. But I told my agent, you know, just hold on, this is a situation that won't last more than a day. And, you know, I know Brett, and he couldn't work under those conditions that it was really going to take to pull off the movie the way I did it, you know. We did a wrestling promotion together a long time ago, and I was working, and he was, I was also doing the color commentary, and he was doing the play-by-play. And, you know, he was an interesting character, and I wasn't a fan, but I knew that they told me, you know, we almost can't ask you to do this because we respect you as you're acting as a talent, and the conditions are going to be so. We feel terrible that we're asking you to, if you would even consider, you know, putting up with what this will entail. They're like, it's going to be brutally hot. You're going to be in multiple layers of costume and a mask, and it's going to be, you know, over 105 degrees most days, and we're going to be shooting want my son, and, you know, it would kill 10,000 mortal men to have to pull that off and not die. But, you know, they'll kill you if you let them, words I always live by. So he came in, he did his thing for about 2 hours. And then he ended up in the hospital with heat stroke and in full body traction. And then he threatened to lawyer up and sue production. At that point, I got the phone call before I had flown back to Atlanta yet. And he said, okay, would you please do this? And I'm like, you know, you're fucking me. Your lawyer's a scumbag. Like, literally, if I called Hollywood reporter Ryan and told him this story, I'd run you all out of town and ruin the reputations for treating, you know, union talent like that. And that's, well, you know, I don't know how to that dick, you know, and it's like, I don't have any of that. I wouldn't have had that dumb shit happen in the first place, but don't say I didn't tell you so. And I knew I was the guy for the fucking job, and it would be tough, but, you know, I used to hate nothing more than, you know, heavy squat days and walking lunges, and I would train legs, you know, twice a week until my central nervous system would fail, and I couldn't, my muscles wouldn't, you know, your legs just fried out, and you can't run for a while. And then, you know, 2 days of football and being a 300-pound athlete and running, you know, to get in shape. There's shape in the gym shape, and there's football shape. Anybody's ever played football, I mean, it's, you know, what kept me in the game while I was in it was Coach told me, look, you can quit right now. You know, you walk through the door, you can sit down next to the door and quit. And, you know, that'll be where it's at. Because you go through the door and you suck it up. You learn, in football, you learn more about yourself and about life and what you have in the tank and what you can do. But if you never paid the cost, you can't be a boss. If you never went that hard and that far until you didn't know when you were going to fall until you fell, you know, you become an expert at, you know, getting ready to protect your face. There you go. Thank you.
I try to be quite verbose, but this is entertainment, but this is now the story of my life and the history, not only of my work, but I'm immersed, you know, and it's still, it's part of me now, and, you know, hard work pays off. I appreciate every one of you, and, you know. Yeah, I mean, I've talked for 8 hours. I'm gonna smoke a cigarette, not to be rude, but I'll prepare one cigarette later from now to do I'll put the costume on with people if there's interest.
For the wait-in, for the end costume photo op, you have to step outside for a moment, and be ready if you guys want to get in line over here.
Yep.
Cue it up. Cue it up.
All right, thank you everybody, and then we're October 25th, I think Janice had said, so for the next Nightshade Cinema.
Wait, I wanted to do this.
You know I'm hot. The sailors said, I got the rules that drive them wild. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy, Toad. Yeah, forget it.
I don't know if this has to show moment, but
All right, everybody.
thanks for humoring me, tolerating me. And
Thank you, Andrew.
What takes a cool pictures? I got the saw.
Just got a song.
Ready to go with that.
All right, everybody, thank you guys for coming out. Line